Welcome to Cycle World, welcome to Portugal. We're right on the south coast with Triumph to test their new Tiger Sport 800. Now this is an entirely new model for 2025. It's not a big bore or a small bore reconfigured engine, it's a complete new engine for the first time. So this is 798cc, 113 horsepower at 10,750 RPM and a really strong 70 foot-pounds of torque at 8,250 RPM. Obviously from Triumph, it's a triple and it's housed in a chassis that's a little similar to the 660. I say a little similar and I mean the frame, but the airbox is completely new, the intake is completely new, but the rear section, you can still bolt on the panniers and the top box from the 660 to the 800. But in terms of suspension, front and back, obviously it's entirely new because it's a complete new model. Showa are taking care of the front suspension. So we've got 41mm Showas at the front, with compression in one leg, rebound in the other, no preload, which I found a little bit interesting. Showa also controls the rear. We've got a big adjustable preload on this left-hand side that's easily accessible, and we've got rebound damping also. Interestingly, even though it's got adventure styling, we've got a 17-inch front wheel, not a 19-inch front wheel like you would find on most adventure bikes. It's adventure styled, it's not an adventure bike. So we've got a 17-inch front wheel. And what that also means is we've not got any off-road or enduro mode. We have a wet mode, a road mode, and a sport mode. Those modes change the power characteristics, they change the traction control, which is lean sensitive, and we have ABS that is lean sensitive, but that is constant throughout all three modes. It doesn't change its parameters or dynamics. It's just the traction that changes and the power delivery depending on which mode you're in. When you're at a standstill, you can turn off the traction control should you wish to, but ABS is always on and always constant. We've got cruise control as standard, quick shifter up and down as standard with the auto blipper, manually adjustable screen, and for the purpose of this video, we did have heated grips fitted because it was a little bit cold this morning, but that is an optional extra. And if you want to go for the yellow paint scheme, that's going to cost you a few $100s extra. In the US, it's coming in at $12,495. Few little bit more specs that'll just bring you up to speed. We've got a 4.9 gallon gas tank. We've got the seat height is 830mm, which converts to 32.7 inches. Service intervals are at every 10,000 miles, which is nice and long. And the wet weight is a 471 pounds. Now today we've had a really good opportunity to test this bike in mixed conditions. A lot of the time this afternoon were perfect conditions, 17 degrees, and we could really throw the bike around and have some fun. But this morning it was a little bit tricky, a little bit wet and a little bit cold, and that's why I was thankful of those heated grips and that adjustable screen to get a little bit out of that wind. This morning the fueling was really soft, really nice, very linear, off the bottom, lots of torque, a little growl as well as you're going around town. It's very easy to ride. Even for a short rider like me, because I'm only 5'7", even with that 830mm seat height, I can get 2 feet firmly on the ground. This seat is standard, it's not adjustable as standard, so if you want a lower seat, that's an optional lower seat, and if you want a high seat, there's an optional higher seat. It is 471 pounds, but it doesn't feel it at low speeds, and that 17-inch front wheel makes sure it steers lovely. This is a bike you could quite easily commute on or hustle it through the city. But then later on this afternoon, it started to dry out and we started to hit the hills here in southern Portugal, which are almost traffic and police free, thankfully. It gave us the opportunity to really start pushing the handle and enjoying the bike. And it does, it really does handle really well. I've not made any suspension adjustments. I don't feel like it needs it. The Michelin tyres worked really well in the damp, they worked well in the cold, and they worked well when it started to warm up a bit and hit a bit of pace. Ground clearance is more than ample for this type of bike. There was 1 or 2 times where I just tickled the pegs, but that's all. The Triumph branded brakes are really strong, very progressive, nice feel to it. I think the ABS kicks in a little bit early for me, but maybe I was riding it out of its design parameter. But these are the ones that you find on the Street Twin 1200 that I tested previously. And they're very good, very strong, really progressive, excellent brakes. The feel through the chassis is also really good. The bike steers excellent, it's very stable, yet flickable, even for a relatively big or relatively heavy bike. Although it looks like a big bike, it steers and turns and feels much lighter than it actually is. But I think the ace card of this bike is that new triple. It just sounds so good and it delivers in so many ways. Around town, you've got this little burble, and it's easy to ride and it's soft off the bottom. And then when you start to wind it on, it'll rev all the way to 11,000 RPM. You can have some fun, jump up and down the quick shifter. It sounds epic with the auto blip, sounds like a race bike, feels like a race bike. It's really, really strong. With the TC turned off, wheelies in second and third gear, no problem. This is a fun sports tourer. And then finally, on the way back, we hit a little bit of motorway, tried the cruise control, and then I had to remember and remind myself to think about comfort. And the very fact I had to do that means it's got excellent comfort, because we started riding at 8 o'clock, we got back at 4 p.m, we had a bit of a break at lunch and a coffee stop, but I've been on the bike all day, comfort not an issue. We've not had the opportunity to throw out some big miles and see what it's like at high RPM, at high speed. We've not had the opportunity to see what it's like for a pillion, but the tank range should be pretty good from that 4.9 gallon gas tank. All in all, it's a really excellent all-round bike. Triumph wanted it to be an all-round sports tourer with character and fun, and I think that's what they've done. It really is an all-round impressive package. When I'm trying to find faults, it's quite difficult. The only fault I've really got is the fact when I change the mode from rain to road to sport, there's no icon on the dash. So if I'm in rain mode, for example, and I go for a coffee and I come back to the bike, I have to double check to see which mode it is in, because there's nothing that pops up on the dash. But that is like pretty small and pretty unique to the way that I want to ride. But the dash is pretty straightforward, it's easy to use, and so is the switchgear. It's pretty intuitive, it's not overcomplicated. But yeah, it'd be nice if we had a little icon to tell us what mode we're in whilst we're riding. And aside from that, priced at just under $12,500, it's really competitive. I guess the big question is going to be what it goes against in terms of competition. But what Triumph has promised has delivered. They said they wanted a comfortable all-round sports tourer that has got character and is fun. And it does all that. It's almost, if you're old like me, like a modern day VFR 800. You remember the all-round Honda that was brilliant at everything but a little bit boring? Well, this is really good at everything, but definitely not boring. I hope you enjoyed our little video here in southern Portugal. If you've got any more technical questions and you want to really delve into what is different and what is changing, like can the 660 luggage fit to this tail unit? Yes, it can. Then please fire some questions below and me or one of the team will get back to you. Don't forget to click that subscription button and I'll see you on the next one.